Is Christine and I am in Gloucester, in sunny Gloucester today, and it's lovely to be here as always. Today we have quite an interesting question here. We've got ego or anger, which is the bit and why. So let's start off with Khushbu.
Hello, ma'am. Good evening.
Hello, how are you?
Good, ma'am.
How was your day?
Good, ma'am.
Hello, Mini Khushbu. I can see you.
She's here.
Hello. She's so cute. Hello, nice to meet you. Okay, so today we have the question ego or anger. Which is the bigger evil and
Ma'am,
why?
I think anger is the greatest evil.
Anger is the great, and why? Why is it the greatest evil?
Actually, when we anger someone, or maybe it's anger someone, and we start negative thinking and start fighting and start saying all the bad things when in our mind. So we start like this, that, yeah, oh, like that. So I think, ma'am, one of the greatest source of tension is anger in our world. Actually,
Okay.
with anger, we do all the wrong things like commit suicide, or maybe when we anger with anyone, or like inner and outer, ma'am. Inner and outer anger is a very bad thing.
Okay, so you know, anger is the reason for everything really that
Yes.
goes wrong. Then, so beyond anger, we have no control. You think that anger leaves us with no control to determine our fate, really. If we get really, really angry, then it's just a one-way ticket to catastrophe, basically.
Yes. Anger may be showing what is actual on me. I'm positive or I'm a negative thinker. So I think anger so in front of all the people what I'm saying wrong or bad or right things. They show my anger when we are in negative, and we start saying negative all the things in anger, and after that we think, oh, I'm doing wrong with other person. We don't show anger in front of anyone, so it's very difficult to handle anger.
Okay. Okay. So when we're angry, it becomes very difficult to control ourselves in front of other people, and we become more maybe are you saying we become more self-conscious when we're angry, that we have to be, you know, we always have to, you know, correct ourselves in front of other people? Is that what you mean? Khushbu? I think she is being taken away by a child. Okay, I'll quickly move on to Veena, and I'll return to Khushbu later on. That's fine, Khushbu, don't worry. Veena?
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. That was a bit creepy, to be honest. It's as if she was being dragged away by a child into a cave.
Yes.
Bless her. Okay, so the question for today is, which is the most problematic? Which do you think is the most bigger evil? Would it be the ego or anger?
If you ask me, ego and anger go side by side. That like they are two sides of a coin. When ego does not fulfill, then anger comes.
Okay, so can you explain? Can you expand a bit more about this?
Like if someone wants, someone is fighting with someone in anger, the ego is behind that. Okay, I am the superior one. I should win this fight. The ego is always behind the anger.
Okay, so ego is really the evil. The anger is just the byproduct of the
the
ego.
cause of ego.
Okay, okay. And what if you were to help someone who has anger issues, would you then tackle their ego instead of their anger?
Like if someone is having an anger issue, if you will go and ask that person, okay, I want to help you, that person will not uh, allow you to help him, because he is in ego. How can you say I'm having an anger issue? You are the one who is facing this issue, I am not facing. So first you have to calm him, and you have to say you are very nice, you are very good, you have all the things. Like his ego should be satisfied, and then only you can calm his anger.
Very good answer. Okay. Now, my next question to you is, when we look at ourselves, okay, so this is a bit more personal now. Do you think all your anger comes from your ego, or do
Yeah.
you think it is some anger that comes from
No,
ego?
all the angers come from ego. Like when I am fighting with my husband, it's like, why should I? You should say sorry.
Hmm.
So this is the my ego when it comes. Every time why I am going to say sorry, or if I am having a fight with my colleagues, so why every time I should go and say sorry? So the ego works very badly.
Okay. And if I asked you to give me the difference between ego and anger, how would you explain the difference between what is ego and what is anger?
Like anger is a natural phenomena. It
Hmm.
comes instant. Like you are angry, you can be happy, but ego, when a person is in ego, he is not ready to accept anything. Like he will not smile, he will not be happy, he will not cry, he will not do, he will just be in his ego.
Uh-huh. Okay, so an ego is a bit about our sense of self, our self-worth in a way.
Yeah, like mental.
Um, mhm,
It's in our mind.
very good. And do you know what we call ego sometimes?
No.
The id.
Okay, it.
In psychology, it's called id, id, id.
Okay. Okay.
It's called id, and they classify it as id. It's really the super ego. Id is the super ego. So um, if I were to tell you a bit more about this, it's part of, you look at Sigmund Freud. You have the id, the ego, and the super ego, and they are what makes our mental health and mental state, really.
Okay.
And if we look at the id is just a part of our personality. um, but the ego is the more rational part, and the super ego then is is literally the one that takes kind of like, I'm the best, what I should be like, what other people should do. That's more kind of the super ego. um but then we have we have the id, and then we have anger. And anger is, like you said, it's like you called it a natural phenomena. It's a natural reaction, that is more of a reaction, whilst our ego is constantly there.
Yeah, it's inside our brain, and when the reaction comes, it, okay, if you're talking shit about me, now I should
Hmm.
just thrash you with my ego.
Exactly. Very good. And a bit of a more personal question now. um can you describe the last time you have let your ego control you?
Like I had fight with one of my colleague, he's my best friend, and in, like it was my fault only,
Hmm.
and I didn't talk to him for 3 months. And like day before yesterday, he only called me and said, okay, you were wrong, in spite of that I am calling you, I am saying sorry. I told, yeah, now it's okay, now we can talk.
Because he told you.
Yeah, He told me sorry. That's why. Okay, we can talk. So we are talking.
Okay.
Everyone knows that she will not come. She will not say sorry. So everyone after 1 month or 2 months, they only come back and say, "Okay, Baba, sorry. You have
Everyone
done
knows about
mistake."
your ego.
Everyone knows that. Not yeah, it's the ego. I know it's my ego, but everyone thinks it's anger.
It's not anger. It's your pride.
Yeah, like why should I go? They should come.
Exactly. Okay. So that is, if we had to say another word for ego really here, it's kind of like our pride as
Yes,
well.
yes.
Um, we could use that to describe what our ego is. Definitely. Okay. And do you have any strategies of how we can help eliminate this anger and control our ego?
I try to like for doing meditation, but I am not able to do it. Like every time, not with every people, with my best friends, I expect that they know me. They know ki yeah, if she's angry, she wants ki you should come and say sorry. So I, not for a, like I'm talking to you. You are a stranger to me. I can come and say sorry to you. I don't feel ashamed of saying sorry. But with my friends, I am like, okay, why should I go and say sorry? This is the problem I'm facing, and I'm working on it. Like I'm doing meditation, but nothing is
Okay.
happening. Every time I'm having a fight with someone, and 2 months, 3 months, after 3 months, they come back.
You really don't care. You're like, I'll wait for as long as I can. I don't care how much I'll wait. I will wait and I will make you come and say sorry to me.
I say one line: if you love someone, he will come back or she will come back. So this is my like slogan of my life. If they love you, they will come back.
Okay, fair enough. They will come back no matter what.
Yeah, because
Okay,
I'm the best.
okay. Okay, very good. Very good. Okay, let's have a little look at now Yuraj. Thank you, Vina. Well done.
Thank you.
Yes, good evening, ma'am.
Yuraj, is it you and your dad or just you?
Ma'am, we both are here.
You both are here. Fantastic. Okay, so Yuraj, if you had to look at the ego and anger, which do you think is the worst of the two evils? Which is the bigger
Ma'am,
evil and why?
as I feel, ma'am, both are very dangerous.
Huh?
Both are very dangerous, ma'am.
Why?
Because ma'am, anger is totally waste of energy, and ego is like something feeling ourselves best than others. And that's why, ma'am, I feel both are the worst, the worst one. We should not be also angry and egoist too.
Okay, so the ego brings the worst in ourselves, and the anger brings out the worst in ourselves and projects it onto others.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Um, but if you had to, do you think they both come from different areas, or do you think one leads to another?
Uh, Ma'am, as I think one leads second another. One
Okay,
leads second
which
also.
one?
Ma'am,
Which one?
ego,
Ego.
ma'am. Ego leads. Yes, ma'am.
You think ego leads to anger?
Yes.
Okay, can you explain why and give a situation of how this happens?
Yes, ma'am. Like if you are a very egoist person, then sometimes you get angry on any other person who feels that you are wrong. Then you feel anger on him or her.
Mm-hmm.
So yes,
Okay,
ma'am. That's
so
why we can say ego leads
you
anger.
so when you have ego and you always think you're right, if you clash with a person and you think you're right, you will suddenly become angry towards him or her.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And do you experience any of this yourself? Do you think you have an ego? Do you think you get angry?
No, I'm not ego, but yeah, angry. I get angry most of the time.
Okay, so if you get angry most of the time, do you think anger always comes from ego, or do you think you can just be angry sometimes without having an ego?
Yes, ma'am, we can just be angry without having ego also.
Okay. And how would you help someone who has anger issues?
Mm, I will just advise them to do meditation.
Okay. And what if they don't accept that? What will you do? Because if they have a big ego, what will you do if they don't accept that?
Uh, I will say them just not to be egoist. Like, ma'am, is it ego issue or anger?
So it is an anger issue, but
Okay.
they won't let you help them because they've also got a big ego. So how are you going to tackle the ego first?
क्या क्या किए दिल्ली में बताइए?
How will you tackle the ego?
Ma'am, I will just to tackle the ego. What I can do? Let Ma'am, can you explain me a bit more?
Okay, so if someone has a big ego, how can you help them? How can you help someone with a big ego? Do you have any idea what you can say to them or what you can do?
Yes, first I will ask them that why you are having ego issues. Then definitely he or she will say any reason for that. So I will try to work on that.
Okay, okay, very good. Okay, so you will ask them why they have ego issues, you will make them aware, and you will try to work on that. I think it's going to be quite challenging, but it is a step. Okay, let me just move on to your dad and see what everyone has
Okay, ma'am.
planned here
Good,
for this this to work. Hello,
good evening, ma'am.
good evening. How are you?
I am fine, ma'am. And how are you?
I'm good, thank you. So, between the two evils, ego and anger, which one do you think is the worst?
I think, ma'am, it's my own opinion that ego is the worst
Okay, why?
because it breaks everything and it kills every good things, ma'am. Every good relationship, every good memories due to ego, ma'am. And it kills permanently.
Okay, so everything that has happened and every memory that you have where you've been angry, the ego was behind it.
Beg me pardon, ma'am. Once again, tell me, what are you
Okay,
asking?
so I'm just saying what you said. So every time that you've had a bad memory of you being angry, ego was responsible for it. Your ego was responsible for that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And how do you help yourself get out of that situation?
Yes, ma'am. I try to know the actual cause of any problem. And if there is, if I try to find the actual cause of any problem, then most of time I see that there is no such big issue behind it, and there is no such kind of thing that I should try to focus on very passionately, and this due to by this I try to overcome this kind of situation if I go in.
Okay. And so you try and control yourself before you get to that state of anger, you mean?
Yes, ma'am.
How do you
And
try and control yourself?
I know that there is definitely uh, there is definitely a limit of everything, and I just try to know and try to not cross the limit of uh, anger or ego, you can say, ma'am. I try to know the limit of that particular evil, and I try to not cross the limit, ma'am. And by doing so, I maintain myself to not go in such kind of situation which can harm me or poison anything, ma'am.
Okay.
Which could poison anything, ma'am.
Okay. And so you think that anger comes from ego, and you've had to control it. When was the last time that you've been angry because of your ego?
Yes, ma'am. I am not an egoist person, but sometimes I get angry, and it happens due to when I see that someone who is not following manners or not maintaining discipline or not following the proper routine. In case when I am at my home, then sometimes when I see that my son or my daughter is not properly doing their work or doing studies properly, I first time I try to warn him, but after giving warning, if they are not maintaining, try to uh, not trying to follow my instructions, then at that time to show, I try just I show him anger, but only from outside, ma'am. And I know that if I do so, that after some time he or she will be back on his or her track, and it happens all the time. And but sometimes they do mistakes, ma'am, and it why it happens I don't know, but when they don't maintain proper discipline after giving my warning, I show them anger, ma'am, but only from outside, and I don't try to beat him. And this is why this is how last time when I did so, because it was not my intent. Intentionally, I don't do such kind of things, but because I know that there should be some anger from outside, and I maintain it, ma'am. Only for only to follow discipline regularly, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, fantastic. Very good. I'll move on to Kushbu again. Kushbu, are you there? Kushbu.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So let's get back to you very quickly. So which one did you say was the worst? Was it anger or ego?
Ma'am, I think ego. Sorry, I think anger, ma'am. Anger can be pure, but not easy to control in front of anyone. And therefore, anger is more dangerous.
Okay. And in your life, whenever you got angry, you think you think ego is not related to anger
No, ma'am.
then, or do you... No. Okay.
Different thing, ma'am. Miss ego is like I can't speak to someone who will fight to me or who will speak wrong things. This is kind of ego. I don't want to go in front of that people and I will like don't say sorry. This kind is thing of like ego. Miss hurtly. Sorry, it's a kind of ma'am like anger from inside. I think this is ego.
Okay. But anger in itself is just an outpouring of emotion.
Yes.
Okay. And how will you help someone who has anger issues?
Ma'am, if someone anger on me or like a type of issue, then I will go in front of him or her or speak very nicely what happened with me, why are you yelling on me or why are you showing anger on me. And if I'm a kind of like responsible for that anger, then I will say sorry. And ma'am, actually, I don't have ego. I'm a very happy person. I don't want to fight with someone. If someone yelling on me or showing anger, I will just keep quiet, silent. I will never say in front of him or her anything. I just maybe like I have lots of patience. Actually, I'm a mother. So I keep lots of patience. So I never fight or never anger. And I don't have ego actually for anything.
And if someone is egoistic and has a big ego, how will you help them? What will you say to them?
Ma'am, then I will go and speak what happened. And if someone start to anger on me or just speak all the things what is negative inside in front of me or in the mind, so I think it's maybe feeling like very kind of when it's kind of like very easy for that people.
Okay. Okay, very good. Okay, guys, so today we have looked at the bigger of two evils. Some of you have found that in your case, the anger comes from ego. In Khushbu's case, for example, anger is completely separate from ego. And some of you have had experiences where you think, you know, my anger has definitely come out of my ego. For example, Veena, she loves to be right. But who doesn't? We all have ego at the end of the day. Now, is it responsible for our anger? That is what we've been debating today. And which is the worst of the two? It's kind of what comes first, the chicken or the egg. So it's quite an interesting debate that we've had here, and I am looking forward to what you come up with in this after this session. So thank you very much, guys, and I hope to see you all tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.